game time. Game time. Game time. We winning, we winning, we winning, we winning. It's game time. Game time.
Welcome back to the Game Time Greatness Season 11 podcast. Episode 3? No, 4.
I think it's 4.
4.
Yeah.
My name is Matthew Usry. I'm the league member most willing to sacrifice their time to entertain others.
And I'm Grant, and I have taken a lot of pain medication, and I'm still recording a podcast. So,
Come on, guys, step it up.
All right, so we're going to go over the Week 7 matchups. We're going to do best and worst draft picks, and then we're going to do playoff predictions, followed by the Week 8 matchups, which is a really crucial week for a lot of teams.
So we'll just jump right into the Week 7 matchup review. First matchup we have would be Grant taking the victory over a decimated from the Week 7 by Apocalypse. Zach's team. Yes, it was a pretty big win for Grant. Wasn't his strongest showing. He's consistently put up about 20-ish more points than he did, but he still squeaked out the win and beat Zach, and Zach was missing his best players. But even though Zach has a 9th place next to his name, he gets his best players back, so watch out for him moving forward.
Yeah, good job, me, but there's nothing really to be excited about on my end other than it was way closer, way more scary looking at your team and almost losing. Apocalypse really just messed it up. So next matchup was going to be Brandon versus Jake. Jake with a 2-5, 12th place by his name. Do not be deceived, folks. 189.5. I think this is just going to show Jake's team moving forward is a real threat when healthy, and not to nice you or anything, but looking on paper, Jake's team is really good. So.
Yeah. So an interesting thing to say about Jake's team is he told me not to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I played Jake every week, I'd like to think that I have a pretty good team. If I played Jake every week, I would be 3-4. And so he says he thinks he's flying under the radar, but I don't think anyone thinks Jake has a bad team. I think everyone is like, okay, if the trend continues, then it'll be unfortunate for Jake. But if he continues to put up the numbers like he is, then he could very well win out and make playoffs, or go 8-6 and make playoffs. So.
Yeah, the only thing that's scary about, or what makes it deceiving is the 12th place by your name. But we've said the last couple of years like how close the league has gotten, and we'll go over this more later. But 2-5 with a team that you have is scary for everybody else. Like, you don't want to play Jake's team if he squeaks into the playoffs.
Don't get me wrong, it's still scary for Jake as well.
Yeah,
2-5 is not a fun place.
You don't have a lot of wiggle room, so your team isn't perfect. So,
and Brandon put up a measly 112 this week. Things will get better. His team has also put up crazy numbers in other weeks, and he gets Najee and Claypool back this week, so
he should be fighting for one of the last playoff spots as well. Next matchup,
me and Mike, and Mike's team really played well this week. He was missing 3 really good players, and I beat him by about 15 points. So he felt the Week 7 by Apocalypse this week as well, but
I still put up 154. That's a very good week. So,
and I'm still seeing a pretty strong performance from my team, so I'm happy with that, but not comfortable. Never comfortable until you get like that 8th or 9th.
Yeah. It's too close to call right now. Next matchup, we're going to have Holmes versus Noah. This is definitely the funniest matchup of the week. Holmes sneaking out that one, less than a point?
That's a little more than a point,
difference. So,
Jameis Winston coming in clutch on Monday Night Football for Holmes, and it's just funny because it's Noah, and nobody trash talks more than Noah, and nobody trash talks Holmes' team more than Noah. So that's why I find it.
Yeah, this is
pretty
a rivalry.
comical for
That's
me.
a rivalry week for these two. I mean, these two are always going at it, whether it's sarcastic or not. But so love to see that from the outside looking in. The week that I think that turned out better for everybody. It's a heartbreak for Noah and great for Holmes, who's unfortunately not one of the better showing teams right now. So, but again, you're still 3-4. I can't, knock it too far.
Next matchup was Ethan versus Cole, and this one wasn't really funny until the words were said after. But Cole barely beat Ethan by like 3 points, a little less than.
Yeah,
But it was really close, and Ethan had an all-time great management. All-time great.
Never seen better management. From
Never
a
seen
ever.
a better manager in my life.
With no other options and just plugging and
know.
playing random players. And
I mean,
they did good. You put up 150 with the bye weeks that you had, but
you did a good stream with Joe Burrow, and you did a good pickup of Dearness
don't act like
Johnson.
Dante Pettis was like a great management move. Like, you got lucky, but good job on that.
Your only choice on your bench was what? Who was it? I don't know. Somebody who put up 4
Didn't
points.
matter.
It was Jermichael Hasty. Yeah. So I mean, great job, Ethan. We're real proud of you.
Yeah.
All right.
And then our last matchup of the week is our first place, Jarvis versus CC. This matchup could have been, if it hadn't been for the buys, been a crazy week. These are two really solid teams that Jarvis, your team is great right now. It's been playing great. It's maybe not as sustainable as you might hope, but
6-game win streak, is that right?
Yeah,
He lost week 1.
can't say anything else.
Or no, I think he lost week 2. Never mind. But still, I mean, 6-1. You're happy with that so far?
It would have been an interesting, like if this had been next week, or if you had the Cowboys and Chargers, CC. This you might have given Jarvis a loss. So
it's interesting. CC had the bipocalypse on his team as well. He was missing Dak. He was missing Mike Williams. He's missing Dalton Schultz and Dawson
Knox was hurt.
But Knox was hurt. That's true. But he also, Miles Sanders got hurt and Josh Jacobs got hurt. And it just sucks for CC.
Yeah, it's a bad time to have a lot of.
He already had
injuries
Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was hurt. So all right. So now we're on to the best and worst draft decisions by each manager thus far into the season. We're not so much projecting forward. We're just looking at how it's been so far, and we tried to leave injuries out of the mix.
Can't really do much about injuries. Yeah. So. And some of them you don't really have a lot of bad draft picks. You can't really pick a bad draft pick after round 9 or so, because most of the time you're just taking a shot. So we try to keep them within the first 7-8 rounds, unless they were like good picks. So
right.
We'll start with Mike.
So Mike, we put as your best draft pick Terry McLaurin in the second. I mean, he's been really good. Not much more you can say. He's like the only weapon on that team, consistent at least, and he's still performing with a backup quarterback. So
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like if you looked at what he had last year versus what he had this year, and this year he's overperforming. Just a good pick. He's just a great player in general. So I had him last year. He didn't hurt me, but
and not to say that overperforming as in he'll regress back towards the mean. Like, he could still continue this. So it's and you watch some of the plays he makes. It's amazing.
Right.
So
great.
And we said your worst pick, well, you probably know, is Mr. Ayuk.
Who's now on my team? That's how bad it's been in your 4th round.
Yeah, but it's not like you used a 4th round pick on Ayuk. And you'll see a trend that the 4th round was actually pretty big for a lot of people, whether good or bad.
Yeah, pivotal.
But, Brandon Ayuk, who knows what's going on in Shanahan's head. That is just, it's whack.
It's the next Dante Pettis.
He broke out last year, and everyone was like, okay, yeah, he's going to be good this year. But Debo took his job back, so...
Yeah, I think the only way that turns around is if Debo gets hurt and he has to be put in that position, but not looking good. All right, next one is Noah. You had a lot of good players. It's kind of hard to pick a best one. I picked the value in 4th round. You got Thielen, who's been an amazing wide receiver. 2 for you, but he'd be a 1 on most people's teams. So Thielen has been awesome for you, and again, that's another 4th round pick that is huge for your team. And then you didn't have a lot of bad picks, Noah, which is good for you. But I picked Michael Thomas. That was your 6th round pick. And he's yet to play a snap that may turn out for you. But also projecting forward, I know we said we weren't doing that, but there wasn't a lot of options for you. 2, the Saints are kind of looking like, who cares if Michael Thomas comes back? They're kind of just looking bad. So he might have a good week. You're never going to plug him into your lineup unless injuries cause you to do so. So Thomas was the pick for your worst pick.
Yeah. So next we had Grant, and I mean he has the number 1 player in fantasy that he got in the 10th round, and it is a quarterback. It's Tom Brady.
GOAT.
Yeah, the GOAT. I am continually amazed by what he's doing.
It's unbelievable.
He's just throwing touchdowns like it's effortless, and but yeah, Tom Brady has been insanely good. I'll admit I was targeting Tom Brady in the draft as well. When Kyler fell to the 6th, I was like, all right, I'm just going to take Kyler because, I mean, how can you pass on that? But Tom Brady, he's been so good, and got him in the 10th round after everyone else had already taken a quarterback. So that just screams value. And then the worst pick, as we all know, is Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has been utter trash. Matt Nagy's terrible, doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know how to utilize Justin Fields. I don't know what is up with that offense, but
and yet they have a 3rd-string running back that's playing out of his mind.
Yeah,
against a team like the Bucks, like
when no one else can run on the Bucks, but that guy can. It just doesn't make any sense. And Allen Robinson honestly has looked like he's given up. So, I mean, and I don't blame him.
And in a contract year, this is supposed to be his year to like do good to get out of there, and he could finally go play with a quarterback that's good. But I don't know.
I hope the best for the man. I hope one day he gets to play with a good quarterback before he's like completely out of his prime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's Grant's.
Next one is going to be Holmes. Holmes, your 4th and 5th round picks were good and bad. So I put Pitts for your 4th round pick. I think going forward, like he's got a lot more upside, but you've gotten multiple 20-point weeks out of a tight end. He's clearly just a wide receiver playing in the tight end slot, which is huge for you. Anytime you can get a good player that can plug into that tight end spot, it's a good pick.
It's an advantage over the rest of the league, which is why I tried to trade for Kyle Pitts already a couple times.
Yeah.
We haven't quite found the right deal. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. I don't know. I like him a lot moving forward. But
so that was a good pick for you, Holmes. And then your next pick was Myles Gaskin in your 5th round. Myles Gaskin did so poorly, and then you finally, you expected him to do good, so you plugged him in your lineup, did poorly for you. You finally benched him, 30 points. It's like maybe he's better for you because Malcolm Brown's now going on IR, and you're going to get a good value out of the running back. But he's definitely a result, one of the reasons why your team has been underperforming. So
the point is you can't start him with any confidence that he will score above 5 points.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just like I told Holmes I didn't want to touch Gaskin at all on my team.
Yeah, he's scary.
Next up is Brandon. We put your best pick is Najee in the 2nd. I mean, Najee's been really solid. He's getting target after target after target because Big Ben can't throw it more than 10 yards.
Yeah.
And so he's just dumping it off over and over to Najee. And, I mean, if Najee's offensive line improves, like, and compile that on top of what he's already putting together, then, I mean, he could just be an absolute, like, league winner pretty much.
Yeah.
He's just so good, and his touchdown numbers can go up, and his rushing yards per carry can go up. And if those things happen, then he's, like, guaranteed, like, 30 points a game.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that get as many carries as he does and as many catches as he does. So
yeah,
great.
We put for your worst pick Julio in the 4th, and that's just been kind of unfortunate. I'm pretty sure every single one of us likes Julio, and it's not fun to see him do bad.
Right.
And he came to a new team with Ryan Tannehill exploding last year. You thought, man, this offense is going to be high flying and really good, and Julio just hasn't really done that, and I don't know, it's just not very fun to watch Julio do that.
And then Cole, your best pick has been DeAndre Swift. Who would have thought that a guy on the Lions would be, what is he? He's a top 5 running back if he's not like a top 3.
He's the number 2
running back. I thought so, but I wasn't 100%. Yeah, the number 2 overall running back on a terrible team. It's catches, it's the volume. He's getting it all. Wonderful pick. That's another 4th round gem. Followed by Kittle, it was your 3rd round pick. We said we weren't doing injuries, but even when he wasn't hurt, he wasn't performing to the 3rd draft pick value at tight end, where all these other tight ends are so important.
If you're drafting a tight end in the third round, you want it to be doing a lot better than whatever Kittle was doing.
So even though he's injured, that was still, now looking back at it, is not a good pick.
We thought you were the tight end whisperer, but
you still have 3 on your roster, right?
I don't know. All right, next is CC. And your best pick was probably the best pick in the whole draft. Mike Williams in the 9th. He's being a top 5 receiver right now. He just got done with his bye week, and before that was a slow week. But other than that, he's been really good. He's been getting all the targets from Herbert. I'm sure Keenan Allen owners everywhere are jealous immensely.
Yeah.
And just Mike Williams has been good. That's why when Noah dropped him in Dynasty, I put $100 on him. And got
that's
him.
crazy.
And nobody else bid on him, so I could have got him for 0. But whatever, it is what it is. Mike Williams is playing awesome, and he's a start every week.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know, probably top 12 player moving forward. So
for sure.
We said your worst pick was Miles Sanders in the 4th, and you know what? I've always been a Miles Sanders supporter, and I still am. It sucks that he got hurt this last week, but that's not what we're talking about. He's been so underutilized that Eagles offense does not know what it's doing. Jalen Hurts puts up good numbers in fantasy, but if you watch him play, he actually sucks. I don't know. Miles Sanders he busts out a good run when he gets the ball most of the time. And you're happy with what you see, but he gets like 4 carries a game. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
It sucks to watch that. So.
Yeah. Up next is Jake. This is another arguably best pick of the league so far. Deebo Samuel in the 7th round. Deebo's always had good talent, but he's injury risk. He has not been hurt so far, knock on wood. So, but yeah, he's just balling out. So not much else you can say there. You didn't have a lot of bad picks either. We didn't want to go very late, but this was your 8th overall pick. Your worst one was Elijah Moore, who's now on my team. You dropped him. Not the worst pick in the world. It was an 8th round flyer. But, I got to pick somebody. So
yeah, and you've made post-draft acquisitions to cover up for losing him anyway. And you just dropped him, but he's just hasn't been it. Right. But like we said, it was a good draft overall. It was hard to pick a bad pick for you. Ethan's best pick, we put Robert Woods for this because
there's your top 4 picks were all like solid draft picks, and everything after your 5th round was devastating. So this was more of a value pick.
Yeah, Robert Woods definitely hasn't been your best player. We know that. But Stephon Diggs, you're like, okay, of course you're going to pick Stephon Diggs there. Who wouldn't?
Right.
That's what we're saying.
Diggs
Amari
and
Cooper.
Woods were back to back to back.
Yeah, so we'll say Woods was.
You didn't have a very easy pick for your best player, but
yeah.
Your worst is really easy though.
Your worst, Robbie Anderson in the 6th. It's just kind of comical to see what's happening to the Panthers. It sucks. Sam Darnold's still seeing ghosts, and he can't seem to connect with Robbie Anderson. Not for lack of trying. Like I said in the group message, he had 20 targets and 25 yards in the last 2 weeks. That's just insane, and honestly pretty funny. And again, go back to the Ethan loves Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense because he hates Trey Young for how ugly he is, but Robbie Anderson's on his team. Oh, it's so funny. All right.
And then Jarvis, this is another easy one. Jamar Chase in the 5th round. I think the entire fantasy industry was kind of blown away by Jamar Chase. 5th round pick, no one really thought he was going to break out as quickly as he did. For a 5th round pick to be a top 10 wide receiver, I'm sure he's higher than that. I don't know what it is, but
he had a very scary preseason that scared him away from everyone. But when no one else believed, you still did, Jonas. So.
And I also had to put in playoff Lenny because a 9th round pick for a running back that's been incredibly good for you. I just had to kind of throw him in as a what's the word? I don't know. Honorable mention.
Yeah, honorable mention.
So, and then your worst pick was Jarvis Landry in the 7th round. He's been dealing with some injuries, but even when he's playing, you're not excited about it, even though you drafted him to be a little bit better than that. So
yeah, Baker's hurt too. I don't know. Jarvis Landry, he's a fun player to watch. He catches everything, but
yeah, not your best pick.
Yeah. Next, we have Zach. Zach, your best pick was Hollywood Brown in the 8th round. He's been awesome. I know that's part of who he is the drops that he's had, but if he were to haul those in, man, he'd probably be the wide receiver 1 or 2. He's been really good so far, and I don't know. He's a must start moving forward, and he was supposed to break out last year, which is probably why he fell to the 8th round this year, is because he didn't break out last year. But I don't know. He's just been really good, and I wish he was on my team. And then your worst pick was Juju. Juju got hurt, but before that, he was just not good.
Yeah.
He wasn't putting up the numbers you wanted to see. Deontay Johnson and Claypool and Najee Harris were getting all the targets you wanted to see in Juju's hands. But yeah, I think his best week was like 13 points or something. Everything else was sub 10, and you're just not happy with that.
Right. And then lastly, Matthew's team. Obviously, the wide receiver 1 on the year is his best pick in the 4th round. Once again, a 4th round pick. Cooper Kupp. Dude's just been crazy. Not a lot else you could say. He hasn't really had a bad week. It's just a cherry on top of Matthew's team so far. And then his worst pick was another really hard one. When you look at some people's draft boards, it's like they don't have a lot of like bad picks. So I went with David Montgomery in the 3rd round. Injury has played a big part in that, and he was good beforehand. So I know that doesn't really fit a lot of the categories for the worst pick. So this is kind of looking forward. They clearly don't need Montgomery. The offense doesn't look good.
Here's where it screwed me over, and I know none of you will feel bad for me, but I don't care. This is where it screwed me over. So I drafted David Montgomery in the 3rd, and then when he went down, I was like, all right, I got to put all my money on Damian Williams. Who knows about this Khalil Herbert guy?
Yeah.
So I put all my fab on Damian Williams, got him for 1 week, which was a good week, and then he got COVID, and then he came back last week, and Khalil Herbert just said, no, it's my job. So,
and how can you trust this offense? So
yeah,
that's the other freaking part.
I don't know. When Montgomery comes back, I'm going to be a little nervous about how much of his workload is going to go to Herbert, and I'm out of fab for the rest of the season. So that just sucks.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have done that, but I was scared. So
yeah.
So there you have it. That's our draft analysis.
Best and worst picks.
Yeah.
Good job to most of you, and sucks to suck for the rest of you.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing we're going to go over is playoff predictions. I think the important note here is that 7 of the 12 teams are all 3-4. Most of those matchups are playing each other this week. The rest of 2 of the other teams are 4-3. So 9 of the teams are 3-4 or 4-3. The other ones, you have Jake at 2-5, who is looking like a really hot team when healthy. And then you have Matthew and Jarvis that are just 5-2 and 6-1. So playoff predictions, these aren't easy. This week makes or breaks.
And these could be totally wrong because no one can predict fantasy.
So some of these are easier than others, and the rest of them don't get your feelings hurt when we pick you because it probably doesn't mean anything. So I think we'll just go ahead and knock out the first 2 easy ones. It's going to be Matthew and Jarvis. Their records have given them enough cushion, you would think, and their teams look promising enough to win enough games where even if they have some bad stretches with buys or with injuries, they're going to continue to win enough games to make playoffs, even if they don't finish the top seed. I think it's hard to picture Matthew's team losing multiple weeks in a row, and same with Jarvis. So those are the 2. I think we locked them in pretty quickly.
I will never forget my first year in GG. I started off 6-2, and I finished 6-7. So and missed playoffs by a game. So I'm pleased with my team so far, but I'm not pleased overall. Right. There's still a lot more to be done. Jarvis's team. I like Jarvis's team. His receivers are not. I probably would have picked Hopkins, not necessarily where he took him, but maybe a couple picks later. But I probably would have avoided Evans And I definitely would have avoided Chase.
Yeah.
But Jarvis has proven me wrong. I don't necessarily like the 0 RB, but Mike and Jarvis are both making it work. So I don't know. Props to Jarvis. He's done some good fantasy this year, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that leaves us for 4 more picks for playoffs, right? 6 teams make playoffs. We already have Matthew and Jarvis locked in. The rest of the teams are now where we've gotten to the 4-3 and 3-4 teams. So looking at the matchups moving forward, one, we all play each other, these 3-4 and 4-3 teams. So this might, completely change in the coming weeks. But the next 2, we have Mike and Zach. So Mike, you already have a 1-game advantage. You're 4-3. Your team is honestly looking really promising, and your schedule isn't as hard moving forward. So it was kind of an easier one for me.
I don't know. I mean,
none of them are easy yet.
We like your team, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Zach, you're 3-4, and like we said earlier, 9th place. But we still really like your team, and moving forward, I could just see you stepping on the gas from
100%
from this point.
And you've gotten your bye weeks out of the way, so you shouldn't have an issue moving forward.
After this week, he will, because he has Lamar,
right.
and Hollywood on bye.
So,
but
yeah.
Our next spot, we put Jake in. He's 2-5, as we all know, and he's in 12th place. But he's the scariest 12th place team that you've ever seen.
Yeah. When you look at his matchup or his team, you just straight up go, how is this team in last place? You've dealt with injuries. You've had a ton of points scored on you. You can't do much about that.
Yeah.
But
like I said earlier,
you're not
I wouldn't be surprised if he won out and made playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could quite reach a bye week, but I would pencil him in for 8 and 6.
You don't want to play Jake's team as the 5th or 6th seed in the playoffs,
right? If
you're a 2-4 or 2-3. So,
the last spot. So
it's up for grabs.
It's up for grabs like it is every year. We had it down. We're each going to make our own picks for whoever is in this last spot. We narrowed it down to Noah, Brandon, Cole, and Grant. And those are all 3-4 and 4-3 teams.
Noah's the only 4-3. Everybody else is 3-4 in that last 4.
And so you'll see in our next segment that this is an important week moving forward for that. So I think I want to take Noah because he just has some insane talent on his team. But I don't know, it's hard. But I think I'm gonna go Noah.
Yeah. I think I would love to just put myself in there. The problem is I don't have any confidence in my team without Saquon in the lineup, and he might miss 3 more weeks. And so I don't want to pick me. Brandon is the other one. Guy doesn't miss playoffs very often. And so looking at this matchup in particular with him playing Noah this week, we'll go into it a little bit more in a second. I think he gets a win, and then that will make you 4-3. And I think I'm going to pick Brandon to make the playoffs. Just sneaking in. So congrats to you, Kamish. Maybe that'll nice me into it. I don't know.
Maybe. All right. So just to recap that, playoff predictions will probably be wrong, but Matthew, Jarvis, Mike, Zach, Jake, and then the toss-up between those 4 teams, and I picked Noah and he picked Brennan. So that's just...
So congrats, you made playoffs.
And this is just the halfway point in the season,
yeah.
So there's still a whole lot of fantasy to be played.
Yep. Buckle up, folks.
Yeah, so we'll start off with our almost matchup of the week. We did Grant versus Cole, which, if you'll remember, are 2 of the teams that were in our battling for the last spot playoff.
Both 3-4.
Yeah, both 3-4. So one of them is going to take the 4-3 or the 4-4 lead over the 3-5. So
big week for both of us.
Yeah,
I'm picking me.
Personally, I'm also picking Grant. I like Cole's team, but if you look at each player individually besides his 2 starting running backs, you can see that it could be very hit or miss. He's starting 2 Cardinals receivers, which Grant was saying earlier is pretty good for a pretty good chance for a touchdown. But at the same time, I mean, if you're starting 2 players from the same team, what happens if that team's awful?
Yeah.
And then like T.
Well,
Higgins.
I'm playing 2 Cardinals running backs. So.
That's true. T. Higgins, he's kind of a toss-up because there's, as we can see with the Bengals moving forward, there's so many weapons on that team.
Yeah.
And they're playing the Jets this week, so probably not going to be very pass-heavy.
Right.
But things could go whichever way. But I'm taking Grant this week.
Good luck, Cole.
Yes.
Our next matchup is going to be Matthew versus CC. This one, at least in projections, currently CC hasn't updated his lineup. Should be closer than it looks. Matthew has a 174-point projection, which is crazy. It's looking pretty straightforward. CC, you're going to have some buys, I think, this week. But you also are getting the Cowboys and Chargers back, so that is really huge for you. So
But he's still missing his running backs, which is huge.
Yeah, so I think this is a pretty easy one for me. It's going to be Matthew. Not a lot else to say on the matchup.
Yeah,
So.
I will say Kelsey has not been as great as we expected.
Yeah. Well, the
he
Chiefs
looks a step slower, and the Chiefs' offense and especially the Chiefs' defense look weird. And so, who knows what to expect? But
yeah.
I don't know. But I'm also taking myself this week. The next matchup is Jake against Ethan, and Jake is actually projected more points than I am. So I'm going to take Jake. Like I was saying earlier, and I'm not trying to nice you, Jake. I know that's exactly what you're thinking, but I'm really not. I really do like your team, and I am scared of your team. Everyone should be scared of Jake, including Jake, because his record.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you don't have a lot of wiggle room, but Ethan's not a great opponent this week. Sorry, dude, did nothing against you, but Jake has got a better roster, at least on paper. So. You're going to need a miracle you're going to have an all-time great management week to beat Jake. So,
and I don't think that can happen in 2 weeks in a row. All-time great management.
Yeah,
that would be insane, and we would have to call the Guinness World Record book.
Yeah,
I would say. At least you know that you have Robbie Anderson on your bench, so that's good. Next matchup is Zach and Holmes.
Yep.
And I'm picking Zach this week. Even though, Holmes' team is hot right now on that 2-game winning streak, beating former champ or reigning champ Ethan and Noah. Okay, Noah didn't win that, but beating Noah as well.
He's a well-respected fantasy manager.
Yeah, and
not by us though.
I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, point is, I'm picking Zach.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'd pick Zach too. Zach should have a bounce back week. I kind of feel bad for Zach. Almost sneaking out a win when he was almost guaranteed a loss last week against me. I think you're going to get a bounce back week, but I don't know. I mean, the projection's kind of close. If they come true, Holmes could sneak out a win. So we'll see. He gets Zeke back, so maybe he has a big week.
Yeah, I hope so. I like Zeke. Anyway.
And then our last matchup is going to be Jarvis.
Not the last matchup.
Oh, sorry. Yes, our last regular matchup of the week is going to be Jarvis versus Mike. So Jarvis and Mike, this is probably one of the better matchups. Just 2 teams that are really good. We both have this playoff teams. And, I mean, you can't put a limit on what Jarvis' team is going to do. They're looking really good.
Yeah.
And Mike's been putting up 150 on bye weeks, and this is going to be a good matchup of the week. But both of you are playoff teams, which makes it less important to everybody else. But I think I'm going to take the hot hand and give it to. Well, actually, no, I take that back because I said I was going to do it differently. I think that Jarvis should win, but I think Mike is going to pull it out, bouncing back. So,
yeah, somebody in our division puts up 180, 190, 200 every week. So this week, could it be Mike? I don't know.
Yeah,
I am taking Jarvis. So
it's a good matchup.
Jarvis's team is just rolling. So I'm not going to go against the grain on that one. And last, we have our matchup of the week.
Woo.
So,
It's a big one.
Brandon at 3-4, sitting in the 7th place spot, against Noah at 4-3, sitting in the 3rd place spot. Projections are leaning in Brandon's favor right now. And the reason that this is the matchup of the week is if Noah's team can pull it off without Devontae Adams, that's huge.
Yeah,
And he goes to 5-3, and Brandon would fall to 3-5. But I think Brandon will win because Devontae Adams is not playing, and that should mean more work for Aaron Jones. Putting Brandon at 4-4 and Noah at 4-4. So it's just this matchup has huge playoff implications along with some of the other matchups. But we just thought this one, since it was the 3-4 versus 4-3, was a little more heavy in the playoff weight.
Yeah, and you two have been playoff stalwarts, and so this is a really huge week. If Brandon misses this week, and if Noah sneaks out a win, Brandon, that might be it for you, man.
Yeah,
like
it's going to be.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but
right.
You're just going to be in a bad situation. And then Noah would be sneaking out another win to make him 5-3, and you need to get as many of these cheeky wins as you can. So, my prediction is that Brandon's going to win, and it's going to make it that much more interesting. I think everybody wants that to happen. So, I'm going to pick Brandon in this matchup. But if Noah wins, I think he's a lock for playoffs. So,
and I think I already said, but I'm taking Brandon
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, that's it. Last time I was on the podcast was right before I faced CC, and then I lost. So hopefully I can right that wrong.
It's a rivalry right there.
Ugh, I know, I hate that guy. Anyway, good luck to everyone this week.
Yeah.
I don't know. See you when I
Yeah,
see
somebody
you.
else
Somebody else
step up and do a
Come on.
podcast.
Come on.
So, yeah, good luck to everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So,
Everyone who's done a podcast, I'll say you're off the hook. And me and Brandon, we're double off the hook. I don't know what that even means, but we've done 2 so far.
Yeah.
So,
we'll
it's
see.
been nice.
We'll see one of you non-podcasters next week.
Yeah, we'll
Thanks.
see you.